Hi guys, thanks for tuning in today. This is Janine, and today I want to talk to you about how to clean and preen your camera gear while you're out there on safari in the dusty open game view, how to get through your holiday nice and safely. If you do enjoy our video clips, please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button down below so you get the notifications whenever a new video is coming out. So when I travel with my camera kit, I always travel, number one, with just a normal microfiber cloth. This is my go-to cloth. I clean the back of the cameras, the front of the cameras, whenever we get wet or we might get some dust or some mud on it. This is my go-to cloth. However, this is not my cloth in order to clean my lens with. Because I wipe my sunscreen off the back of the screen or I wipe the rain off, it gets obviously very dirty. I only wash it like once a month or something, and you would smear all that muck in the front of your lens. So when it comes to cleaning the front of your lens, you need to be very careful because it scratches very easily. Most of the time, I keep my sun hood on, that also protects it. Some people are in favor of filters to keep it protected. I say this is my working gear. I don't want to have another piece of glass in the front unless I have to. So always carry a nice little microfiber cloth with, ideally something that is made for glass. It could be your sunglasses, could be anything. Make sure it's clean and make sure you've never washed it with fabric softener. Not a good idea. There is these little cleaning packets that you can buy for fairly cheap. And in those you often find individually packaged microfiber cloth to make sure they're really clean. So I would never go ahead and now simply clean my lens, because on the game drives you're going to get a lot of dust on them, especially if you drive through a semi-arid area, a desert, and if you sometimes are in more moist areas, it happens that you get mud or water splashes onto it. So I always start off with a little brush. So most cleaning kits have a brush that you can have a very soft end, and you just brush most of the muck off, all the loose particles that if you would use a microfiber cloth, you would rub it into the lens and you would get scratches. So let's try and avoid that. Those brushes often have a second side, like a little fleece on the other side. If you really need to polish something, to have a little bit of lens fluid, or again, you should treat your sunglasses the same way. That also works. So after you did that, and you still see there is spots on there that you couldn't get off, you can now go ahead and take a little bit of lens fluid that you polish out with a microfiber cloth, or again a prefabricated little moist cloth. Most of the time there's sort of like alcohol wipes. We even have those from the medical purposes. They're a little bit wet. So when you use a wet little cloth to clean your lens, make sure it doesn't leave those streaky little marks on it, you know. That is not so nice. So after doing that, make sure you use the dry one and just polish after yourself. And then your lens should be nice and clean. So rule number one, never clean the lens with a cloth that you clean the rest of the camera with. So I got a camera bag made that I can literally pack my camera like that, so I never have to take that lens off, even if I put it in the camera bag, and that helps. So that is the front of our camera. What about the back? Sensor spots is a real issue. Here you see an image with nasty sensor spots on them. And especially if you shoot on high f-stops, so if you shoot landscapes or if you shoot panning images. Slow motion pans are often shot on a very high f-stop. Look at all these sensor spots in these images, very nasty. How can we avoid them? Well, if you go on safari, take some of them with that you can cover your camera with. Literally just cover it while you drive, keep it on your lap. Some people literally get a tube fabricated that closes here in the front. Something very, very simple, especially for shorter lenses, is simply a buff that you can pull over it so that you protect the main lens and body from the majority of the dust. That is especially for zoom lenses. They suck a lot of dust in. You don't have so much of a problem with your fixed lenses. So when you find that you have a lot of sensor spots, some of them you can remove by blowing your sensor out. So what you would do is you always open up your camera towards the bottom. Gravity pulls a lot of it out. When I open it, I can go into my menu and find the sensor cleaning under my little screwdriver on Canon. If I go on sensor cleaning, I can say clean manually. And what it does is it flops the mirror up for me manually. And says mirror will lock up after manually cleaning the sensor, turn power switch off. Okay, that was my mirror going up. I open up my camera, always have the camera facing to the bottom. And now I'm going to take this little magic tool. So you always use that. And you blow the inside, try and blow all four corners. Never go inside with your fingers, nothing oily must ever touch in there. I had guessed with hair in the inside, I had no idea how that happened. I took those out with tweezers, just to be sure. Turn your lens around, do the same thing with your lens. You can take your little cloth to polish those connection points. You'll find sometimes with all the rattling in the game viewers, those screws here by the connection points come loose and you'll struggle getting decent connection between your lens and your camera body. Having a small tiny screwdriver to tighten them often works magic. And then you connect those two again. Ta-da, easy as that. If you do find that you still have sensor spots, I would suggest to give it into a professional camera clean. They're not cheap, and with past cameras you could easily do a sensor swipe yourself. There's kits you can buy for that, but the more modern cameras often have a little film on top of the sensor to protect it and to make it less static towards dust. And if you try and attempt to clean it yourself, you might damage that. So I would suggest to get it professionally cleaned if you find you cannot get rid of your sensor spots. Last but not least, I like to have my little silicone sleeve for my body that I put on. It's a very handy thing, sometimes a bit getting used to in order to find the buttons, but I find it protects it against most of the bumps and the scratches out there. The gear is supposed to be weather and waterproof and dust proof, yeah, but unfortunately not foolproof, and I'm a very clumsy person, so I protect my expensive gear like that. If you do have a lens sleeve as well, please be aware they do like to keep moisture, especially in the lower layers, the neoprene layers. There's often these camo covers for your lens. They tend to mold. So check them regularly, otherwise your camera might mold from underneath. If you go to places like Borneo, places like the Congo to see gorillas where it's very moist, make sure your gear doesn't mold. It can help to have one of these little sachets, either filled with rice or these silicone sachets inside of your camera bag, to make sure that your camera bag stays nice and dry and your camera gear doesn't stay moldy or get moldy, especially if you keep it in a place for about a week. All right, that is the basic rules. You see I made a big mess here. That's how it should be. Afterwards your camera should be clean. If you come from a really dusty safari, you should do that literally daily to keep it nice and spotless. That will also reduce the risk for sensor spots inside. I hope this gave you a little bit of an idea what to bring along. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great day.